Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our June edition of Tips and Tricks, integrating your data into summer safety processes. This is Fred Foster, and I'm joined by our Tips and Tricks crew, Cooper Ratcliffe, Marjorie Faust, and Karen Safantes. We are also joined by several guest speakers today, Rajesh Hoda, Rajesh Krishnan, Antonio Rosales, and Brian Johnson. This morning, we will be going over Insight, single sign-on, org structures, HRMS, incident management and audit integrations, industrial hygiene lab integrations, chemical SDS data, populating data lakes, App Builder data import and exports, and finally dashboard building. So to start us off, here's Cooper.
All right, welcome everyone. So I'm Cooper Ratcliffe. I will be leading you through a portion of Process Map called Insight. And what this Insight tool is going to allow all your cohorts to be able to extract ubiquitous data across the system. That's really the foundational element of what Insight is. So it's a tool that's going to be able to allow you to build visualizations and reporting and be able to track and trend off of all of the data that's being entered from end users within your company and the system. So today I'm just going to lead you through a quick portion, more of an introductory call, and we're going to go on a journey over the next few months. And we'll keep building off of each call as we progress. So let's jump into it. How do we access Insight through Process Map? As you'll see here, this page right here is called your landing page. From your landing page, you will be able to navigate to the Insight tool if you hover over the pie-shaped icon labeled Insight. If you click that one time, that will now bring you into a different tab. For most of us, this will be a different tab that populates based on your computer settings. So don't be alarmed if it's if it populates on your same tab, or you can also have another tab that populates. So within this, it's going to populate to what we call the Insight landing page. This is what you call a home page for Insight. So it is going to be different than your home page for your regular Process Map login. So here, let's access. Let's start to get a layout and comfortability within navigation of this tool. This first tab here is labeled Customer Outputs. We will dive into on our next call really what that is, but from a foundational level, this is going to be an easy way for current reports that are built or current dynamic dashboards that are built to be pre-saved for all users or otherwise labeled as consumers. When they log into this is an easy way called a quick link for them to be able to click this link, and it will navigate them to that report or dynamic dashboard. The second tab is labeled Reports. This is a tab that has production reports. We call them production reports. This is reports that have been pre-built that will work for your organization. There's nothing that needs to be edited here. You do have the option to save these down and potentially edit them or work with your CSM. But these are production reports, out-of-the-box reports that you can utilize to leverage the reporting capabilities through the Reports tab. If you move over to the third tab labeled Dashboards, this is essentially the same functionality as the Reports tab, but these are what we call dynamic dashboards. So these are more drill down dashboards. After every click, other information populates accordingly. On the fourth tab, it's labeled Help. This is a great way to be able to track release notes. So every release, this is a way that you as an author or your cohorts can be able to understand, hey, what changed within Insight, or did anything change within Insight on this release? You can click this and that will show you. The second section is labeled Training Content, and Training Videos is the third section. These two sections here will allow you to explore all of the functionality and current recordings that Process Map has that can really get a foundation level author up to speed very quickly. Now let's navigate over to the file structure. So you have a couple of different options here labeled My Content, Team Content, and Recent. So My Content is a folder that is going to be strictly for you as your user. You're the only one that will see that information within My Content. Team Content is a different story. If we click on that, it will populate a list of other folders. Company folders will be the first one. This is where reports and dynamic dashboards specific to your company will be stored and housed. Every company's company folder will be a different structure. So I challenge you before our next call, really dive in and understand your file structure if you have current reports there. The next one down would be Process Map Author Library. This is where we're going to utilize, we will utilize this folder when we start building dynamic dashboards and reports within our next sessions. Here on Process Map Dashboards and Process Map Reports, these are connected to what we call production reports. This is just where they are housed within the folder structure. In closing, I challenge you to really dive in, and the people that will be attending the call, really checking their the scope and permissions. Insight is a tool that is just, it works the same way as the regular process map functionality, which is, you're only going to see the information that you're scoped to, and then also what permissions do you have. So there's two types of permissions for the Insight application, and that is going to be an author license and a consumer license. The author license is going to be who has the ability to build a report or build a dynamic dashboard and edit reports and things of that nature. A consumer is for really all other users, that they have the ability to see the reports and dynamic dashboards that have been created within your system, but they will not have the ability to edit those. So I really appreciate your time today. Next call, next month, we will be discussing how to build a report, and we'll have a live demonstration that you will be able to follow along and build one yourself. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Cooper, for showing us a little bit more information about Insight and showing me how to do a couple more things. So, my name is Antonio Rosales, and I work part of the implementation team, and I'll be showing you some of my favorite feeds and a little bit of information about them and what we can do for you. To start off with, I will be talking about the SSO integration. So what is SSO? In short, it stands for single sign-on, and it allows any of the users that goes into our system to automatically log into our website and never needing to put in their username or password. It makes the system very easy to use, and it doesn't make anyone have to remember their username or password. That's always a pain. And this works by connecting to their work login, for example, their email address. Now, is it necessary to have when using the process map system? Of course not. All they will need to do is actually log in with their username and password, and they'll be able to use the system as normal. Once again, though, who wants to remember that? It is painful. I've lost my password a couple times, and it hurts. Now, is it easy to set up? Well, luckily, the SSO integration is one of our easiest and more seamless integrations, where we have connected with different systems such as Azure, Pink, Microsoft ADFS, Okta, and many others. And one last point that I want to mention is that SSO does work for website, and if you're using the mobile version, we have and can set it up for that as well. So there is no need to fiddle with the smaller screen and logging in. The next feed I want to talk about is the organization structure feed, or more specifically how I refer to it as ELS or location feed. So what is the location feed? Well, if you are a client that thinks to himself, wow, every week there's more locations or there's locations closing, then this might be an option for you, as this automatically helps and set up and remove locations automatically on a daily, weekly, or monthly basis. So how does this work? Well, we can connect to your third-party administrator or whoever keeps track of all these new locations, and we could set up a connection with them, which will help tell our system when something needs to be open and closed. And on the screen, I do have some of the information that we will need to make that feed. For example, we want to know where you're putting this new location, where in the hierarchy. And then we will also need to know the location's name, the location code, the address of the location, and even the activation status of the location. When it was active, when it was inactive. And the greatest thing about this feed is that it works great with the next feed that I'm about to show you. The HRMS feed, my personal favorite, and it's the one that I believe everyone should have. So, what is the HRMS? The HRMS feed, or otherwise known as the Human Demographics feed, allows it so that in our system, employees and users can be made automatically at a daily, weekly, or even monthly basis. Meaning that you do not need to log into the system and manually create every new employee and every new user. This can be done seamlessly with your HR system, and it removes a lot of headaches and mistakes that can occur with manually doing something. And is there anything more about this? Of course. Well, as I mentioned, users can be made with this feed, meaning that when an email ID is passed with the employees, the feed will also would want to create the user for that employee. And by doing so, we can give them specific permissions and roles inside the system. Therefore, let's say I'm an average worker and I just want to log in, and let's say we're doing learning management and I want to put down that I finished one of my courses or I'm doing one of my courses. Well, now I can log in as I'm a user with SSO and already put in the right location, and I could just go into my class, say I took my test and I passed. I could fill the information out and everything will be great. Overall, I do believe that these three feeds add a sense of ease to the system and makes life so much easier to use the system. Now, I'm going to be passing it off, and I hope you got a little interested in some of the things we can do for you.
Thank you, Antonio. Great information on SSO and organizational structure. As you have heard from Antonio, Process Map has the ability to interact with a variety of vendors in order to integrate their data into our system. We can receive files containing employee demographics, hours worked, medical information, etc. We can integrate with labs to exchange employee exposure to agents via the industrial hygiene module. We can even display learning content from a third-party vendor in our training management module. Each integration is laid out in a specification document that details the business rules, naming convention, field mapping, frequency of the transmission, notifications, and more. Usually, this specification document is given to the client at the time of the implementation of the feed. Well, today I'm going to focus on the different data integrations available to our incident management module. The IMS Freud Inbound. Does your organization have a telephone number to which employees can call and report an injury? If you do, Did you know that we can create a data integration that will feed the information collected by the call center into your process map system? The integration can be daily or real time. Within seconds of the call being finalized, the information is sent to the process map and a new record is created by the system. We call this type of integration in incident management the first report of injury, FROID. With the record already in the system, now the EHS team can save time by jump straight ahead to the investigation. Now, let's talk about the IMS FROID outbound. Due to different needs in the leadership team in our organization might require that the data collected in the first report of injury within the process map system is also shared with other systems or third-party administrators. We can also help with this. Once your safety team is done entering the data from the first report of injury, Process Map can send these records to your third-party administrators, allowing your team to focus on the investigation instead of having to manually enter data into our systems. Just like the IMS FROID inbound, the information can be sent daily or real time. A detailed data log allows our users to see what information has been transferred along with an acknowledgement stamp from the third-party administrator. Now, let's take a look at the IMS WCC outbound. Following an on-the-job injury or work-related illness, there is a limited amount of time to report an injury and file workman's compensation claim. Failure to do so can result in the denial of your workman's compensation insured benefits. That's why it's important that the employers train their employees to immediately report an injury at work. As the employer, you're typically responsible for submitting the claim to your workman's compensation insurance. But you first need to gather all these details and documentation from the incident. But since you're already doing this in the incident management module from Process Map system to record those injuries and illnesses, with only one click of a button, now you can also create a claim from the incident and submit it to your third-party administrator as a workman's compensation claim. Yes, it is that easy. And now let's talk a little bit more of the WCC inbound. After the workman's compensation claim is evaluated by the insurance, the third-party administrator will notify if the claim has been accepted in the amount of benefits to which the employee who has been injured is entitled to. All this information can be fed from the TPA to our Process Map system. That way, the organization can have a holistic view of what kind of incidents are happening, which incidents are resulting in workman's compensation claims, how much money is the company spending in these claims? Is there any lag time from the incident that is reported from when the claim is actually submitted? What are the possible risks? And with this, you can appropriately place plans in place to reduce those risks for the employee and for the organization. Now let's talk about IMS vehicle fleet. Do you have a fleet of vehicles in your organization? Did you know that we can update the list of vehicles at every location? As long as each vehicle has a unique identifier, we can associate it to a specific location. And when the vehicle is reassigned to a new location, our system can update the record to reflect the information. That way, if there's a vehicle incident, the information is already at your fingertips. Now, let's talk about the IMS vehicle claims. For those of you who work in an organization where the operations consist mainly in logistics and/or transportation, our incident management module allows you to connect directly to the third-party administrator in order to submit claims of vehicular incidents. Information regarding the incident, vehicle details, insurance information, and witness information is collected and sent over to the claim, making it so easy to keep track of those incidents and claims in one comprehensive system. And last but not least, in our incident management module list of feeds is our general liability. Our general liability module, commonly known or referred to as GL, has also the capacity to connect directly with a third-party administrator for submitting of claims. That is correct. For those of you with retail operations, you might know the employees of the retail stores have to call a call center in order to file a general liability claim. These calls can take up to 45 minutes to get the details from the incident. Instead, with your process map system, the incident is already being reported, and with just a matter of a clicking of a button, you can submit those claims. Now, these are most of the feats in the incident management. However, they're not the only ones. Process Map keeps on innovating. Now, we also have feeds from our app solutions to our incident management module. So if we didn't cover something that you might be needing or you're interested in, just let us know. We can always work something out. And now I'm going to hand it off to Brian, who is going to be talking about different integrations in our audit management module.
Thanks, Karen. That was a lot of great information. Hello, everyone. My name is Bryant Johnston, and I'm a Customer Success Manager here at Process Map. Today, I'm going to be talking about a couple of exciting integrations that we have for our audit management module, which includes STP Compliance EHS and NHESA. To begin with, let me provide you with some background on both STP and NHESA. To start things off, let's take a look at STP. STP Compliance EHS, formerly known as Specialty Technical Publishers, is one of North America's premier publishers of comprehensive technical online resource guides in the areas of environmental, health and safety, transportation, business practices, standards, and laws. STP provides audit content to EHS customers to help facilitate audits that are designed for practical interpretation by compliance and audit managers, and to help ensure compliance with both state, federal, and OSHA rules and regulations. STP offers a selection of publications applicable to international operations, which spans the global EHS audit arena, along with specialized Canadian EHS content, ISO programs, and international risk analysis. Similar to STP, NHESA is another leader in regulatory content that supports EHS compliance worldwide. NHESA maintains worldwide regulatory compliance policies and legal requirements for organizations in the EHS industry. This includes audit protocols for more than 300 global jurisdictions that are available in 30 different local languages. With NHESA's vast database of regulatory content at your disposal, customers can ensure that their organization remains in compliance with the unique regulations and standards that impact their business in North America and around the world. Now that we've talked a little bit about STP and NHESA, you may be wondering how you can combine these incredible resources for regulatory content with Process Map and the audit management module. Alright, here's where it gets exciting. Process Map provides the ability to integrate the regulatory content from both STP and NHESA directly into the audit management module for use by our customers. This is implemented with the use of REST APIs and FTP to allow customers that are subscribed to specific regulatory content from either STP or NHESA to receive the latest updates for their audit protocols, ensuring that they remain in compliance when changes occur to existing rules and regulations. STP, for example, also provides an interface to determine the difference between available content sections, allowing for the download of just the changes between versions. This provides a great value in mitigating the risk of regulatory citations and fines, as well as facilitating the determination of applicability and requirements by topic as related to your audit programs, and reducing the amount of time spent tracking changes and making manual updates to your existing audit protocols. So, we've looked at what STP and NHESA can provide for audits. Next up, I'm going to be talking about integrations for our LMS and some of the content providers, including HSI, Safety Skills, and iHasco, and how training content from these providers is combined with our learning management system to drive impactful compliance training at your organization. Let's take a look at the next slide. ProcessMap currently has partnered with a growing list of HSCQ content partners providing extensive libraries of training courses and content, which in 2022 includes HSI, Safety Skills, and iHasco. HSI, formerly known as Vivid, has been a partner for some time. Safety Skills and iHasco are more recent additions to our content library partners, which has allowed us to expand content offerings in certain technical areas, as well as provide access to training content in a wider range of local languages. These content providers host a range of HD quality video training courses with interactive exercises and content aimed at creating a strong engagement with the user. Let's now take a look at how they can integrate into ProcessMap's LMS and the benefits. ProcessMap has the ability to pair training content from these partner providers such as HSI, Safety Skills, and iHasco with the LMS module. The source systems provide the training content from their course catalog, as well as status information via API, which allows the subscribed content to feed directly into the LMS module. This includes data related to the outcome of the course completed or attempted, as well as any associated course certificates or attachment-related data that's provided by the content providers that can then be tracked and reported on within the ProcessMap LMS module. This allows for the creation of a centralized training management repository with world-class content, combined with the ability to utilize the reporting features and status tracking from within the LMS module, and create unique training plans for individuals, groups, or your entire organization based on the needs of your business and industry. This concludes my portion of the presentation. If you have any questions or like more information about STP and HESA or any of our training content partners, please feel free to reach out to our team. I'll now pass the mic to my colleague Rajesh to take it from here.
Thank you, Bryant. Good morning and good afternoon, everyone. In the next few slides, we are going to look at a couple of integration approaches what ProcessMap provides on industrial hygiene module as well as chemical management module. ProcessMap's industrial hygiene management module works with the primary goal of protecting employees, enhancing compliance, and reducing the risk. With this system, you can easily identify the hazards and mitigate the risk, and the system also performs and displays the results of qualitative risk assessments for all the agents based on multiple elements such as health hazards, severity, frequency, and duration of the exposure. So the primary focus here is to simplify this process by providing a single enterprise-wide system for the qualitative assessments, sampling and exposure monitoring, reports, notifications, and managing the action items out of it. Targeting these aspects to improve the accountability of these sampling and making it seamless, close to real time, we have some of the key functions of this integration approach. Number one is about the automatic updates. These lab results, whenever the outbound feed that passes on from ProcessMap to the lab is being received, and once they have their updates provided back in an inbound feed file, all these lab results will be automatically updated in a central repository screen. And you can automate your chain of custody management, and you can manage each and every sequence of events all through this process. The sampling process is very flexible with different methodologies for different sample types like air, noise, heat, etc. ProcessMap has currently interfaced with even over 12 labs internationally, including SGS Galson, Bureau Veritas, RGLE, ESIS, and etc. And we also automatically send the electronic chain of custody files to these labs directly. In the next slide, there is a simple illustration which explains how this IH lab integration works within ProcessMap and laboratory. So at the module level, the user generates a chain of custody once a sample has been captured, and this happens at the module level. When the chain of custody has been generated, it will be submitted to the lab from the module itself. And then once you submit to the lab, then there is an email outbound file that will be sent as a notification to the lab, to the laboratories. As a result, the laboratory receives the sample, process it, and then they'll be able to provide process map with the inbound sample file with the results of the sample, as well as if there are any additional notes, comments, or any attachments to it. So this happens purely with a secured pathway like what we call as FTP. And then whenever the sample results have been processed, you can again see it in the central repository screen, as I'm going to show you in the next slide. So here is a screen which is called Manage Lab Feed, which is within Industrial Hygiene module. As you see, it gives detailed information of the file name and the received dates and the loaded dates and the sample types as well, whether it's normal versus blank or loaded or unloaded. And if there was any attachment file name and the file status, the current status of the file will be updated on a periodic basis based on the process has been completed or not. Our integration also makes sure the respective parties involved in this integration are notified on a timely manner. We have real-time and daily notifications to sample results based on a key category such as over limit, above action item, below action limit, and even non-detectable item. We analyze all these data for our analytics across different key data points, including geography, location, department, work area, even the type of task or job they are performing on a daily basis. The real-time statistical analysis what ProcessMap offers through our insight tools based on these results is going to be really helpful for the user to understand the key statistics such as mean, mode, standard deviation, and the percentage of samples and the normative ranges of the sample results. You can also customize and share the home screen dashboards to reflect these results in a quick view. You can see it on the home screen to understand how the sample results are and how the trend is going on currently. That being said, it's a useful tool or an integration that you can utilize for your EHS practice. And please feel free to approach your customer success manager if you would like to integrate your industrial hygiene with any external laboratory that you are currently in business with. In the next few minutes, we are going to look at another integration approach that ProcessMap offers with chemical management module. This is one of the newest integrations that we are doing. It is with STS Pro and it is an API approach of integration. Very similar to industrial hygiene lab integration, ProcessMap's chemical STS Pro integration management offers a solution where all users can easily access a central repository where all the data sheets and chemical informations are available for any specific location. As we know, when it comes to chemical management, it's more about regulatory compliance and process map. The companies that use or produce the dangerous chemicals in their work area have lawfully responsible to communicate their workers about the potential harms that's going to come out of these chemicals or exposures. So we have a pressing need to manage these chemicals and their respective data sheets in a regulatory basis, like in a regular basis, with whatever updates has been provided by the respective bodies. So here in Process Map, we have come up with a robust design that supports different external STS providers. So we will be able to we are a little flexible on how we can configure the different providers. And now we are elevating our approach by moving on to the next level of platform on API approaches. Also, our STS management module allow the user to house the STS for different employees access based on their location as well. The module captures all the STS information in over 40 to 70 different fields, and all these 70 different fields are connected through an API web services. And then a user can always access this latest information, whatever is available up to date. And even if there is a periodic update made to this SDS information, including the data sheets, it can be generated, exported, and it can be used in multiple different ways from the central repository screen. By doing this, you can also identify, analyze, and improve the usage and performance of the chemicals. Here in this slide, you can see an illustration which demonstrates how this process of API works at a high level. So the data from SDS Pro is received by Process Map in the form of chemical name and their respective details, along with the SDS attachment sheet, which describes the detailed information of SDS. When the situation is like a new chemical that has been sent by SDS Pro, then Process Map integration engine automatically identifies that, and then it will be able to create a new chemical item in the central repository. And this new item will have complete detailed information, as Process Map already set certain fields as mandatory and necessary to complete a chemical information. It makes sure all these fields are captured through this integration, and the maximum amount of information is given to the user by doing this integration and data merging. Also, the data sheet from SDS is also attached to the respective chemical screens. And let's say if the chemical information that is coming is one of the chemicals already in Process Map system, Process Map system also identifies that and updates the respective fields which has the new updated information from SDS Pro. As a result, the chemical information is available for the user in the central repository, and the chemical library will reflect the updated chemical name, manufacturer, SDS date with respect to attachments, etc. Here in this slide, you can see the central repository that I was talking about. Within Chemical Management module, you will see the screen called Manage Chemicals, which gives you all the detailed information about a chemical. As you see on the left-hand side of this tabulation, location is specified for each and every chemical. On the right top corner, you would see the same location's name. So each and every chemical will be housed and placed in Process Maps module based on the location. And it also specifies the area where the chemical has been used as well. We can call it department or area of use. And you can also have the chemical name, CAS number, and then you have the manufacturer's name, chemical's current status, whether it's in use or not, and you have the SDS updated date, and then any GHS labels that has been provided. Not limited to these functions, this integration also enhances the function of the module by providing multiple different reports for chemical information, approved chemicals versus report to the custom reports as well. We also have label printing options like a label studio to configure multiple labels on different sizes, and HMIS, NFPA, and custom labels or different types of other labels that are available. So similar to industrial hygiene lab integrations, this integration will also be a useful tool for you guys, and please feel free to reach out to your customer success manager when you have an idea to integrate your chemical management with the SDS Pro integration. Thanks everyone.
Thank you, team. Hello, everyone. This is the other Rajesh here, Rajesh Hota, and I'm going to talk about one more way of extracting your data. So, as mentioned by team members earlier, we have this API route of extracting your data, right? So, in which you can specify a location, or you can specify the time period, like you can put the to and from date, and you can call specific APIs to get your data extracted. So, but if you want to get a complete extraction of your entire database, right, for all the modules, you can also do that. Like the use case for this could be like where you want to see the performance of your locations or regions, or performance across locations or regions. You can have the data extracted, and you can use this extract as an input to your external tools like the Power BI or any other external tools which you can use to analyze the data that you have entered in the system. And we are providing this in two ways: the standard Excel CSV flat file way, and the second option is the SQL data extract. The first option, the Excel flat file way, in which we would be placing or would be transferring this Excel flat file to your existing SFTP site. So the data can be accessed by your IT team, as it will be encrypted, and you can also access this by downloading any SFTP viewer tool, and provided that you have the right credentials that we will be providing you. So this is the first option. So please note that this is a standard data extraction option, in which the customer's entire data tables in the database will be provided. So obviously this will not include any kind of data manipulation request. Like, for example, we cannot provide data only for one module, or we cannot we cannot satisfy any request that says that we would need data only for one location, or we need data only for certain matrix. So any kind of data calculation is not data calculation and data manipulation is not included in the in this option. So this is the complete extract of your data tables. In the second option, like if you need which is the SQL data extraction. So if you need any data extraction of a specific table, then we can use the second option of SQL data extraction. But please note that this will require some level of effort, and the exact LOE which will be provided upon getting the complete requirement. So if you have any need of an extraction, like, we can either have this two-way, and you can get in touch with your respective CSMs, and we can then have it call, and then you can decide which option you would be needing for the data extraction. So these are the two ways in which you can do the data extraction. It's a very good way to use this extract to further analyze for all the good data that you have entered in the process map system. This enables you to do further do data analysis if you have some third party tools like Power BI, in which you can use this as an input to do further analysis. So that's all from me on the data extraction topic. So over to you, Fred, on the topic of apps integration. Thank you.
Last year, in version 22.1, we added a new feature to allow you to import data directly into an app builder form. I'm going to review that process again with you this morning. A couple of things about what we're going to do. The process. We're first going to create a list view with each of the fields that you wish to import in the order that they appear in the app. We're then going to export that list view to create an import template. We're going to fill out the data in the import template. We're going to upload it via Manage Imports. We're going to map the fields from the template to the fields in the app, and then we'll complete the import process. And a couple of notes on data imports. You can only import data into a single app and a single location at one time. Also, the number of rows in the data import times the number of columns cannot exceed 10,000. So if you're importing 10 columns of data, the maximum number of rows is 1,000. Now, if you do have more than 1,000 rows of data, you can do the import through multiple spreadsheets, but the max would be 1,000 at once. And also, action conditions, set actions, auto-populating data, and dependencies are not evaluated during the import. In other words, if there are certain dependencies or auto-populated fields, the import will not affect those. I have a very simple form that I created to do the data import with. If we look at the form, it's very simple. We have a text field for name of equipment, drop-down list for type of equipment, the location, a date field, a user field, options here for if it's in proper working order, multi-select, as well as a comment field. So those are the fields that we're going to use to import data. Now the first thing that we want to do is create a template to use to import that data. And I'm going to go to my list screen, my data screen, and I'm going to create a new view. To create a new view, just click your drop down and click on Add New View. And I'm going to call this view Import Template. And then I'm going to add each of the columns that are in my app. So we'll start with name of equipment, type of equipment. I'm just going down the order that they're listed in the app. Now, one thing you might have noticed while I was adding those columns, that there are columns for location, created by, created date, updated by, and updated date. Even if you don't have these fields in a form, they are populated behind the scenes in the app. Now, once I've created that view, I'm going to click Save. And here's my new view. Now I'm just going to click on the Export button, which is going to download a blank spreadsheet of this view. So here you can see my blank form. What I'm then going to do is populate each of the columns with data. Once it's populated, the spreadsheet's going to look like this, and this is the spreadsheet we're going to use for the import. Now that I completed my template, I want to import the data. There are two places we can go to import the data. Up in the upper right, there's an option for Manage Imports. You can also click on the ellipsis in the individual app and click on Import Data. So when you click on Import Data, it's going to take you to First Screen, and we have a progress bar that goes across the top. It's going to default to the current location that you're in, Westlake. It's going to default to your current language. It's going to show the form that we selected here, the Tips and Tricks data import, though I could click my drop down and select another form. I now want to drag over that template that I created. So it has now accepted my file. And then we have a couple of toggles here. The first one, it's asking if the first row in the file has field label names, which it does. So we're going to say yes for that. And then the second option here, do you wish form notifications to trigger on every single record? What that means is once we get this data imported, if these forms should have triggered a notification, if I say yes to this, those notifications will go out. If I leave this in no, then they will not go out. In this case, I'm not going to trigger any notifications. So I've completed the first page of my import. I'm going to click on Next. Now we need to map the data. You'll notice on the left-hand side, these are all the fields that were in my Excel spreadsheet. And then on the right here are fields that are in the form. So the first Excel field is name of equipment. So I want to match that up to the name of equipment in the form. So this drop-down is showing all the different fields in my form. So I'm going to select the appropriate field, name of equipment. The next field in my Excel sheet is type of equipment. And I'm going to select type of equipment. Location of equipment, location of equipment. The date inspected, the date inspected. Now notice when I selected the date, it's asking here for a date format. And if I click the drop down, you'll see several different options for date formats. The date on your spreadsheet needs to be in one of these formats. I know that on my spreadsheet I did it with month, day, and then the year. Continuing on to continuing the mapping, who inspected this? Is it in proper working order? And finally, my comment field. You'll notice on properly working order, it brought up another box that says specify delimiter. This field allowed for multiple selections. If I wanted to import multiple selections, I can separate them with a comma. So right in here in the delimiter field, I'm going to put a comma, and that's indicating that for the proper working order, if I put in multiple answers, they will be separated by a comma, and they will both import in. You'll also notice a column here for unique fields. If we check any of these as unique fields, for instance, on the name of equipment, that means that on my spreadsheet, each of the fields must be unique. I cannot repeat the type of equipment. So that's what the new unique field does. So once I've set this all up, I'm going to click on Validate Mapping. And this is going to validate that I have my mapping set up properly. And right here it's telling me that 15 records will be created correctly and none will not be created due to errors. So that's good. All my records will import properly, and I can click here, Begin Import. It's going to do some processing. I can click Close on here. This gives you a history of any imports that were previously done, the number of records, number of failed records, and your dates. And if I go back into my form and click on Data, we now have all the data that was on the spreadsheet imported into the form. I can click on any one of these and we're right here into the form. So it's very easy to import data into an App Builder form. Next, we're going to build a dashboard by exporting data out of an app. And the basic steps for this is we're going to create a data export view in the App Builder app where you choose the fields that you want in your dashboard. We're going to export that data to Excel. We're going to import the Excel spreadsheet into Insight. We're going to create a new dashboard, and we'll add and format the desired data elements to the dashboard and save. Very simple process. The app that we're going to use for our dashboard is the Asset Registry. Now notice right now I'm in the Westlake location. If I do an export of the data, it's only going to have data for Westlake. And I want to include a few more locations. So I'm going to change my location to Florida. And now I'm going to go to Data. And I already created a view, which is the Export Asset Registry view, with a total of 58 records. And you can see in here we have multiple locations. So I'm going to click on Export to download this into a spreadsheet. I'm now in Insight, so I'm going to upload my spreadsheet that I just downloaded. I'm going to click on New and Upload Files. I'm now going to select the spreadsheet. It's going to import it into Insight. It tells me it was uploaded successfully. When you upload a file, it's going to be under My Content. So if I go to My Content, right here, we see the spreadsheet that I just uploaded. Now we're going to start the dashboard. So I'm going to click on New, Dashboard. And here I can choose either a blank template or one that's got some grid lines already set up. I'm going to choose this one and click on Create. Now it's asking me to select a data source. I'm going to click on Select Data Source. And I'm going to go to My Content. And right here is the spreadsheet that I uploaded. That's our data source. I'm going to highlight it and click Add. And over here on the left, we see all the fields that are in that spreadsheet. I can also drag this up. And again, we see all the data that's in the spreadsheet. So now we're ready to start moving data onto our dashboard. We're going to start with location. So I'm going to click on location and just drag it onto my dashboard. And the system will process it and give you a type of visualization that they think you want. Well, that's not always the case. So if you go right up here, you can change the visualization. And go here to all visualizations. And I am going to select a list. I can close this. And now this is set as a list. I can go over here to Properties. We have information about our visualization and the widget. I want to add a border. So I can easily add a border there. And if I'm set with the visualization, I can go on to the next widget. So we're going to add in asset ownership right here. And I'm going to drag that right here. And I don't want this to be a table. I want it to be bars. So I'm going to change my visualization again. I think I'll do columns. Close this down. Now if I go over here to fields, there's a required field here for length. So I'm going to take my asset ownership and drag that right over here to length. And I am all set. I can go to Properties right here, and I'm going to change the color from blue to orange. Now I want to add some labels. So I'm going to go right here to chart and click on Show Value Labels. It's going to set the positions right there. And I'm all set. Next, we're going to do the status. So I'm going to select Asset Status and drag that over. And I don't want this to be a table. I think I'm going to make it bars. So select bars, close this down. I'm going to go over to fields again. And I want to take the data element and drag it over again. It's required here in the number or length setting. Now let's look at some of the properties. I can change the color here if I want. So let's make this purple. And going into my chart, I do want to show the labels. Now we will do the asset name. I'm going to drag this over. And I'm going to change it to a bar. Close this. And drag this back over. I can then go to properties and I can change my color. The last widget is going to be asset class. So I'm going to select that, drag it over. And again, I'm going to change my visual to a bar. And I'm going to go over here to the fields. Again, drag my asset class over. But I want to do one other thing. I want to add ownership to this widget also. So I'm going to click on asset ownership. I'm going to drag it right here to a repeat column. And you can see that it split up the widget into two sections, both own and rental. Well, I have all my data onto my dashboard. I want to do a little cleanup of it. I can click to get rid of my data. Gives me a little more room to work with. And I want to put borders on each of my widgets. So I'm going to click on the widget. I'm going to go to Properties, General, Appearance, and select a border. I'll do that for each. And the last one. I want to make sure to save this. Click Save. It's telling me my dashboard is saved. Now if I click on the pencil to take this out of edit mode, we now have our dashboard. As I click on different elements, you'll see the different widgets change. And that very simply is how to build a dashboard from an export of an app. The same principle can be applied with any spreadsheet. So you can do the same thing if you wanted to make a dashboard from a list screen. You can export the list screen, import it into Insight, and now you have a dashboard. Thanks everyone for joining us today, and thank you to our guest speakers. If there are any additional questions, please enter them in the chat widget. We'll see you next month.